Imagine moving to a state that slowly drains your money, safety, and peace of mind. Sounds like a nightmare, but in 2025, it's the reality for thousands. Some states are struggling with soaring crime rates, collapsing schools, and skyrocketing costs, and you don't want to be caught in the fallout. This video reveals the 10 states you absolutely want to avoid before it's too late. Number 10, Mississippi. Alright friends, let's talk about Mississippi, a state that, despite its southern charm and fried catfish, is stuck in a time warp when it comes to progress. In 2025, Mississippi continues to rank dead last in multiple national quality of life indexes. We're talking education, healthcare, income levels, you name it. Let's look at some hard numbers. According to U.S. News & World Report, Mississippi ranks 50th in healthcare, 49th in education, and 48th in opportunity. The state's poverty rate hovers around 18.7%, nearly double the national average. And don't even get started on Jackson, the capital city. It's been battling a failing water system for years. In 2022, residents were literally boiling water to brush their teeth. And by 2025, many neighborhoods still suffer from aging infrastructure and sporadic water access. The median household income in Mississippi, just $52,985, a full $16,000 less than the U.S. median. Add that to the fact that major job growth is stagnant, and you've got a recipe for economic frustration. The state also suffers from an underfunded education system with a teacher shortage that's reaching critical levels. Test scores? Among the lowest in the country. Now, we're not saying Mississippi doesn't have its gems. Sure, Oxford has a college town feel, and the Gulf Coast can be scenic. But if you're thinking long-term prosperity, career growth, or reliable infrastructure, Mississippi might feel more like a twisted game of Survivor than a life upgrade. Number 9. Alaska. You heard that right, Alaska. It may be beautiful on a postcard, but in real life, it's like living in a National Geographic documentary with no escape button. Sure, the mountains and northern lights are jaw-dropping, but friends, unless you're a rugged survivalist or a moose, daily life here is complicated. First up, cost of living. Despite its oil wealth, Alaska has one of the highest living costs in the U.S., with groceries costing 28% more than the national average, and utilities nearly 33% higher. Why, nearly everything has to be flown or shipped in. Anchorage and Juneau feel like Whole Foods-level pricing for Dollar Tree-level options. Then there's isolation. Some towns can only be reached by boat or plane. Ever needed an emergency dentist appointment? Hope you packed a parachute. Weather delays are routine, and don't even try ordering from Amazon Prime. 2-day shipping becomes 2-week guessing game. And let's talk crime. Alaska ranks number 1 in the nation for violent crime per capita, according to FBI data. The assault rate is over 860 incidents per 100,000 residents, which is more than double the national average. Domestic violence and substance abuse rates are also alarmingly high, especially in remote native villages. Add the long, dark winters, we're talking up to 67 days of no sun in places like Barrow, and the seasonal depression hits harder than a polar bear on Red Bull. Alaska's natural beauty is undeniable, but if you're looking for reliable roads, sunny skies, and stable healthcare access, this might not be your forever home. Number 8. West Virginia. West Virginia. Country roads might take you home, but they also might leave you stuck in traffic behind a coal truck with zero cell service. This state is a cautionary tale in economic stagnation and population decline. Let's start with population trends. West Virginia has lost 3.8% of its population since 2010, according to U.S. Census Bureau data. Young people are fleeing in droves. Why? Because job opportunities are as scarce as vegan options in a Cracker Barrel. The coal industry, once a giant, has shriveled, and the state has been slow to attract tech or green energy jobs. The median household income is just $54,329, and nearly 17.4% of the population lives in poverty. Charleston, the capital, is struggling with crime, with a violent crime rate of 624 per 100,000, far above the national average. Infrastructure is another pain point. West Virginia's roads rank among the worst in the country, with nearly 20% of its bridges deemed structurally deficient. And education. The state ranks 45th overall with underfunded schools and low college attainment rates. Health outcomes aren't any better. West Virginia has the highest opioid overdose death rate in the country and ranks 50th in physical activity and obesity. We're not knocking the breathtaking Appalachian beauty or the friendly locals, but unless you're an off-the-grid enthusiast or a coal museum curator, West Virginia might be better left on your travel itinerary, not your change of address form. Number 7, Louisiana. Let's talk about Louisiana, a state known for jazz, gumbo, and Mardi Gras. But beneath that spicy culture lies a gumbo of problems that make it one of the worst states to move to in 2025. First and foremost, natural disasters. Louisiana faces one of the highest risks for hurricanes, floods, and climate change-related displacement in the nation. Hurricane Ida in 2021 cost over $75 billion in damages, and FEMA data shows more than 40% of homeowners in flood zones lack flood insurance. That's a recipe for bankruptcy with a side of heartache. Then there's crime. According to the FBI, Louisiana has the second highest homicide rate in America, 19.9 per 100,000 residents, nearly 3 times the national average. Baton Rouge and New Orleans consistently rank among the top most dangerous cities in the U.S., with carjackings and homicides on the rise in 2025. And healthcare? Louisiana ranks 50th in healthcare access and outcomes, with sky-high infant mortality rates and low vaccination rates. Life expectancy in some parishes is 10 years below the national average. The state also has a poverty rate of 19.6%, and its education system ranks 47th, with teacher shortages hitting rural districts hard. It's not all doom and gloom. The music scene, food, and hospitality are unbeatable, but unless you're a disaster-prepping foodie with an iron stomach and a bulletproof vest, Louisiana might not be the best place to start over. Number 6, California. Yes, friends, we said it, California. The land of palm trees, tech giants, and dreams as big as Hollywood. But friends, in 2025, that Golden State shine has dulled a bit. Yes, the beaches are gorgeous and In-N-Out Burger still slaps, but behind the sunshine is a storm of problems that should make any would-be mover pause. Let's talk cost of living. California is now officially the second most expensive state to live in, just behind Hawaii. According to Zillow, the median home price in California as of 2025 is $837,000. That's nearly double the national average. Want to rent instead? Prepare to cough up a small fortune. The average rent for a one-bedroom in San Francisco is $3,400 a month, and in Los Angeles it's not far behind at $2,900 a month. That's more than a mortgage payment in many other states, and if you think your high rent guarantees high-quality living, think again. California has one of the highest homelessness rates in the U.S., with over 181,000 people experiencing homelessness in 2025. That's nearly 30% of the entire homeless population in the country. In places like Skid Row in L.A. or the Tenderloin in San Francisco, entire blocks are lined with tents, highlighting a housing crisis that's gone from bad to catastrophic. Let's not forget taxes. The state income tax tops out at 13.3%, the highest in the nation, and gas prices. A gut-wrenching $6.70 per gallon on average in major metros. Even something simple like registering your car can feel like financing a used Tesla. Now let's talk disasters. California is still wildfire central. In 2024 alone, over 1.2 million acres burned, forcing tens of thousands to evacuate. Power shutoffs during fire season are the norm, and don't get us started on earthquakes. You're never more than a news alert away from the next big one scare. And while tech and entertainment jobs are booming, the middle class is fleeing. Between 2020 and 2024, over 500,000 residents left the state, many citing unaffordable living and crime. Speaking of crime, property crimes have surged in places like Oakland, where the burglary rate in 2025 hit 1,670 per 100,000 people, double the national average. Public schools, they're struggling. California ranks 33rd in education, and some districts are facing teacher shortages, overcrowding, and budget cuts. Meanwhile, wealthy enclaves offer private schools with tuition that could rival college. Yes, California has glamour, opportunity, and innovation, but it also comes with skyrocketing expenses, natural disaster risks, and growing inequality. So before you trade your snow boots for flip-flops, take a good hard look at what it really costs to live in paradise. Number 5. Alabama. Friends, Alabama might bring to mind sweet tea, college football, and country porches, but underneath that southern charm is a state facing some serious deep-rooted issues in 2025. Let's get straight to the numbers. Alabama ranks 46th in healthcare, 45th in education, and 43rd in infrastructure, according to U.S. News. The poverty rate sits at 16.2%, and in rural areas like Wilcox County, that number spikes past 30%. In Birmingham, crime is a daily headline. The city has a violent crime rate of 1,517 per 100,000 residents, making it one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in America. Education? Alabama ranks near the bottom. Standardized test scores in math and reading lag far behind national averages, and teacher shortages have left classrooms overcrowded and undersupported. In 2024, nearly 14% of teaching positions were unfilled, and then there's health. Alabama has one of the highest rates of obesity, 39%, diabetes, and infant mortality. Access to healthcare is especially poor in rural counties where hospitals have been closing in record numbers. Between 2010 and 2025, 12 rural hospitals shut down, forcing residents to drive hours for basic care. Yes, the cost of living is low and the barbecue is world-class, but if you're looking for long-term growth, education for your kids, or modern amenities, Alabama might leave you asking, what century did I move to again? Number 4. Missouri. Missouri, home of Mark Twain, the Gateway Arch, and more potholes than you can count on a road trip across the 70. The Show Me State has some serious warning signs for anyone thinking of planting roots here in 2025. The Show Me State has some serious warning signs for anyone thinking of planting roots here in 2025. Start with crime. St. Louis has consistently ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S., with a violent crime rate of 1,878 per 100,000 residents. That's nearly 5 times the national average. In fact, in 2025, St. Louis had the highest murder rate per capita among large cities. Kansas City's not far behind. Carjackings, homicides, and robberies have all seen spikes, especially in underserved neighborhoods like Eastside KC and Northland. And while law enforcement agencies are trying to keep up, officer shortages and strained city budgets are making it a losing battle. On top of that, Missouri's education system isn't winning any awards. The state ranks 38th in public education, and many schools, especially in urban and rural districts, face deep funding gaps. Graduation rates are slipping, and ACT scores are on a slow decline. Healthcare access isn't great either. Missouri has refused Medicaid expansion in some areas, leaving hundreds of thousands uninsured. In fact, 12% of Missouri's population lacks health insurance, higher than the national average. Add in economic stagnation, and you've got a state that's failing to retain young professionals. Between 2010 and 2025, Missouri lost over 60,000 college-educated residents, most of them aged 25 to 40. Sure, there's charm, rivers, and a great beer scene, but if you're looking for stability, safety, and upward mobility, Missouri might be a detour you don't want to take. Before we move on to number 3, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss engaging content like this. Number 3, Arkansas. Now we're heading into Razorback territory. And no, that's not a warning about wild pigs, although those are a thing too. Arkansas is grappling with problems that go beyond critters and camping. First off, the economy. The median household income in Arkansas is $53,000 compared to the national median of over $68,000, and nearly 16.3% of residents live below the poverty line. That's not just a number, that's entire communities struggling to afford groceries, rent, and healthcare. Then there's healthcare itself. Arkansas ranks 47th in healthcare access and quality, according to the Commonwealth Fund. In rural areas, residents may drive 50-plus miles just to find a functioning emergency room, and health outcomes reflect this: high rates of diabetes, obesity at 37.6%, and infant mortality. Education also lagging. Arkansas ranks 41st in public education. Test scores and graduation rates are low, and teacher pay is among the worst in the country. Many teachers are quitting altogether, and in 2025, nearly 10% of teaching positions were filled by unqualified substitutes. Let's not forget crime. Little Rock, the capital, has a violent crime rate of 1,420 per 100,000 residents, which places it among the most dangerous mid-sized cities in America. And gang activity has been spreading into surrounding suburbs like North Little Rock and Pine Bluff. Yes, the cost of living is low and the Ozarks are stunning, but between poor infrastructure, lack of opportunity, and growing crime, Arkansas might leave you feeling more isolated than inspired. Number 2, Oklahoma. All right, y'all, Oklahoma. If you're thinking wide open skies, country music, and friendly folks, you're not entirely wrong. But when it comes to quality of life, Oklahoma's singing off-key in 2025. Let's start with natural disasters. Oklahoma is smack in the middle of Tornado Alley, and it's not just a nickname. The state sees an average of 60-plus tornadoes per year. In 2024 alone, severe weather caused $2.8 billion in damages and displaced thousands. Healthcare is another tornado waiting to happen. The state ranks 48th in healthcare quality, with alarmingly high rates of preventable diseases and one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the U.S. Over 14% of the population is uninsured, and rural hospital closures have left major gaps in emergency services. Crime. Oh yes. Tulsa and Oklahoma City have seen a rise in violent crimes over the past 3 years. In Oklahoma City, the violent crime rate hit 1,050 per 100,000 residents, and in Tulsa, certain neighborhoods like North Tulsa have become increasingly dangerous, with gang violence on the rise. Let's talk education. Oklahoma ranks 43rd in education, with teacher pay among the lowest in the nation. In fact, in 2025, over 20% of classrooms lacked a certified teacher. Add in poor infrastructure, over 14% of roads and bridges rated structurally deficient, and you've got yourself a bumpy ride in more ways than one. Oklahoma has its good sides, low cost of living and a decent housing market, but if you're aiming for safety, strong public services, and long-term opportunity, this state might be more hassle than it's worth. Number 1, Florida. And finally, number 1, Florida. You heard that right. The Sunshine State may be a dream vacation, but living here, that's a whole different weather report. Let's start with natural disasters. Florida leads the nation in disaster declarations. In 2024 alone, it saw 3 major hurricanes totaling over $40 billion in damages. And with rising sea levels, cities like Miami and Tampa are dealing with sunny day flooding, meaning it floods even when it's not raining. Cost of living exploding. The average rent in Miami is now $3,200 per month, and home insurance premiums have skyrocketed due to storm risk. In fact, the average homeowner insurance policy is now over $6,000 per year, 3 times the national average. And crime? Florida's overall crime rate may be declining, but certain areas are boiling over. Jacksonville and Orlando have seen increases in homicides, assaults, and property crimes. Some neighborhoods in Miami-Dade and Tampa Bay are now listed among the top 15 most dangerous zip codes in the Southeast. Then there's the political landscape. With polarizing policies on education, immigration, and reproductive rights, the state is turning into a national battleground. Public schools are experiencing mass departures of educators, with over 12,000 teaching vacancies reported in early 2025, and we can't forget the traffic. 95 through Miami is a 24/7 parking lot. Public transportation is nearly non-existent, and let's be real, dealing with year-round humidity and alligators in your backyard is a special kind of chaos. Sure, Florida's got beaches and Disney, But if you're looking for stability, affordability, and long-term livability, you might want to enjoy it as a tourist, not a resident. That's the list. 10 states you might want to avoid moving to in 2025. It's all about knowing the real risks before you make a big move. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and let me know which state surprised you the most. Thanks for watching, friends. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.